Hello again, everyone, to our Advocacy Specialist podcast. Today is a very special day. We are going to be discussing perfect Thanksgiving food spread. What we are going to do is we are going to pick 5 different items for our perfect Thanksgiving meal. One being meat, sauce, carb, veggie, and dessert. Today, we are also welcoming our new advocacy specialist, Abby Giambattista.
Giambattista.
Giambattista. She is going to be working in the Lincoln office with Kim. With that, we will actually begin with Kim. Go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Thanksgiving's an exciting holiday for me. Of course, there's always the turkey, the standard turkey. And then for a carb, I love mashed potatoes, but of course you've got that, but then I like it topped with some sour cream and some bacon and some Velveeta cheese. Oh, I'll tell you, it's the best. And then you bake that and it's ridiculously good. For a vegetable, our family tradition typically is that green beans with onions and bacon. But when we put it on our plate, then we put on some vinegar on there. And I tell you, it's pretty darn good. Sauce, you've always got that turkey gravy, but we usually use chicken broth to mix in with that so that we can have lots of gravy because our family loves to pile on the gravy. Then for dessert, my favorite part of the meal is probably, I don't know, I've got a few favorites, but I like some butterscotch pie, some pecan pie, and cherry cobbler. Those are my 3 favorites. I got to take a little bit of each time we have them. So that's my meal. That's my perfect Thanksgiving meal during the holiday.
I see. So 3, 4 different kind of desserts. You bring up a good point. You can never have too many desserts. With that, we will actually go over to Abby next. Go forward.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
You're a little quiet.
Okay. Is this better?
That is better.
Okay. So my family has what's called the Wally ham. It's named after Wally. That's my grandpa's name. So that's a barbecued ham that's done on a rotisserie on the grill, and it has barbecue sauce injected into it and then basted over it. And that's really, really good. And we make that every year for Easter and Thanksgiving. So I can't remember the last time we had turkey, but that's that for me. It's really good. And then for carbs, I love sweet potatoes with the marshmallows on top. Bake that and it's perfect. My mom makes a really good cream corn dish. It's also the best. I don't know as far as veg goes. And she also does a tray of mixed roasted veggies, so like broccoli, carrots, onion, cauliflower, whatever, but she does like special seasoning over it, and we just bake that, and it's really good. And then for dessert, I'm like Kim. I like 2 or 3 things on my plate. But my grandma makes a really good cherry tort.
A really good?
Cherry tort.
Oh.
And we get a really good apple pie from the apple orchard every year, and we bake that as well. So that's me.
Rotisserie barbecued ham sounds really good.
It's delicious.
With that, we will turn it over to Susan. Go for it, Susan.
Well, Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays next to Christmas. And I just love getting together with my kids and my grandkids and have this huge, tasty meal. I'm going to add in a starter, an appetizer. We usually like to have deer sausage and cheese and crackers for an appetizer. And then we go on to our turkey with some dressing. And most years we have a wild turkey that one of my boys got while hunting. And I make the dressing from scratch from my mom's recipe that she used all the years I was growing up. We also do have mashed potatoes, so we kind of double up on the carbs. We use turkey gravy for all of that goodness. And we, of course, have green bean casserole for our vegetable. And my mashed potatoes, I add a little bit of garlic to them and some sour cream. My daughter's favorite side dish that I make is sweet potatoes. So we die of carbs in my family. But then for dessert, we like to have pumpkin pie and some other kind of a fruit pie like cherry or apple or peach. And then of course, after eating all of this stuff, we're all ready for a nap.
I'm beginning to sense a trend of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 desserts. But as I said, there is nothing wrong with a ton of desserts. With that, we will toss it over to Cathy.
Boy, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Just because I love the time together with the family. And for our family, it is an all-day event. We start out getting together at maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. And one person will host at their house. And then everybody else brings 3, 4, 5 different dishes. So we don't have one thing. We have everybody's favorites. And, like everybody else, we have to try them all, but if I have to choose one specific from each category, of course, I have to go with turkey, and typically we'll have at least 2 different kinds of meats because one person will bring turkey, one person will bring something else. We always have both mashed potatoes and stuffing, and I can't choose one or the other with turkey gravy on top of it. Now, that being said, I put my turkey, my mashed potatoes, and my stuffing on my plate and smother it in gravy. That is the only thing that can go on my plate because I'm one of those people that you can't have other foods touching. So I'm kind of weird that way. But then when I go to vegetables, my favorite vegetable is not green bean casserole. It's okay. But my favorite is another carb. It's cornbread casserole. And if you haven't had it, it is so yummy. All you have to do is Google or Pinterest that recipe, and it is the best. But it's really another carb. But that's my favorite is the cornbread casserole. As far as dessert, we will typically have 10, 12 different kinds of desserts at our Thanksgiving dinners. I mean, huge, huge. If I have to pick one, it's going to be a pumpkin cake with a crumble topping plus ice cream. That's my favorite dessert. But dessert's my favorite part of the meal. And so we, have our big meal, and then we wait for a couple hours, then we have desserts, then we wait for a couple hours, then we have leftovers, then we have more dessert, so it's the whole day long process where you get to try everything. Yeah.
Cornbread casserole. That's an interesting one I've never heard of. Do you add honey on that?
I'm sorry?
Do you add honey on that?
No.
No honey on that.
No, it's got cheddar cheese in it.
Oh, even more surprises. All right, then. Well, next we'll run over to Ashley. Go for it.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, for Thanksgiving, usually we will have 2 or 3 Thanksgivings a day or a 2-day event with lots of family because I have a large family. So for meat, I typically like both turkey and ham together. Sometimes at a family Thanksgiving, they'll only have ham, or the other family will have just Thanksgiving or just turkey. It just depends on the day. For the carb, mashed potatoes all the way. Those are the best. And sauce, of course, is very important there in Thanksgiving. Gravy, you've got to have gravy. And I've got to have that with my mashed potatoes and with my ham. So I use the gravy on ham too, and that's pretty good. For a vegetable, I typically like the green beans, but it's got with cheese on it, and that's really good. That's what I love. For dessert, the only dessert I usually have is chocolate pie.
Chocolate pie is a very good choice of dessert. With that, we'll throw it over to Dylan. Go for it.
So my Thanksgiving, my yearly Thanksgiving is a bit different than the traditional type of Thanksgiving. My dad loves to grill. He's got his own grill shack in the backyard. He's got all kinds of grills and smokers, you name it, he's got it. He's that crazy grill guy. So he'll make brisket or pulled pork, and it'll be like a pork butt that he's cooking all day. And then my mom will typically either make, usually depending on her mood, she'll make that green bean casserole, or what's it called? Some kind of cinnamon roll casserole or something. It has some eggs and potatoes and bacon and then cinnamon rolls on top that she bakes, and I'll tell you that's pretty good. Then she'll, of course, make mashed potatoes with cheese on top and with, of course, gravy. But typically we don't have a lot of dessert because they've made so much food that we don't need it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with filling up on all sorts of good stuff like that. Finally, we're on to me. For Thanksgiving, I think meat, I really enjoy the dark turkey. Dark turkey would be the one I'd have to take over everything else. For sauce, you have to go gravy. Gravy is just so synonymous with Thanksgiving, you can't have anything but. For carb, as much as I like the mashed potatoes and stuffing, one thing that my family does is fantastic potatoes, where they take kind of a cheesy hash brown mix and add potato chips on top and bake it in the oven. It's fantastic stuff. As far as veggie, I'm not a huge veggie fan, especially with things like green bean casserole, which means I would go with the standard veggie tray cauliflower with ranch, because that is such fantastic stuff, and I can snack on that all day as I'm waiting for the actual meals. Finally, for dessert, one thing my family does is something called Oreo fluff. It's almost like a whipped cream with crushed Oreo bits inside of it. And this is very, very good stuff, and it always disappears each time it's made for any holiday. With that, that concludes our podcast for today. I want to take a moment to thank Sharon as our interpreter for this podcast. And I want to thank you all for watching and wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.